Welcome to Flying the Metal Flag. Now, first of all, I want to say obscura is a word that I don't want to describe this band as because it doesn't describe them whatsoever. Nailed to Obscurity is a great melodic death band, and this new album, Generation of the Void, gets better with every listen. I love melodic death metal. It gets better with every band that just practices it. They get better at it with every release. And this band does it in truckloads. So Generation of the Void is an awesome release. I totally recommend it. We got to talk to Jan-Ole, the guitarist of the band. Sit back and relax. Ben and I had a great time talking to this guy, and you're going to have a great time watching and listening. So here he is now. This is Jan-Ole, guitarist of Nailed to Obscurity on Flying the Metal Flag.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, mate. We just
Fine,
only
how are
got.
you? Now I can see you.
Oh,
Cool.
beautiful.
G'day.
G'day, mate. So is it Jan Ollie? Is
Hello.
that how I pronounce your name?
Jan-Ole, yes.
Jan Ollie. Yeah, beautiful. How you going, buddy?
I'm fine. I only think we are having a slight delay in the line here, but it seems to work. But just so you know, I think there's a delay, and I'm hearing you later than you think I'm hearing you.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, it seems to work. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yep, so I'm Craig and this is Ben.
It's
How are you?
nice to meet you.
So welcome to our show. It's called Flying the Metal Flag. And we've got to say congratulations on this new album, mate. It's absolutely huge. And I have to say, it's a very mellow album compared to your last albums. So, how was it recording this album? Because you kind of previewed three songs in the last couple of years. So, it's taken a
hmm
bit of a journey for you guys to put this album together.
That's true. And first of all, thank you very much for the kind words. Um, so yeah, it was. I mean, all in all, it was very different to record and write this album because there was well, basically because of the pandemic. But another reason was that this time we didn't have time pressure. When we wrote Black Frost, we had signed a deal with Nuclear Blast, and there was a big tour in place, and it had to come out for that tour. So we had like a very tough schedule and not that much time to write it. So we just sat together for months and weeks, mostly on the weekends, and basically wrote the album in a kind of, well, not a live situation, but yeah, we wrote it on the go while we were rehearsing, basically. Even though Volker and I always come up with the ideas first, and there are pre-produced outlines of songs and stuff like that. But with Black Frost, that was just to kick the songwriting process off, and then we just marched through and did everything, finalized everything in the rehearsal space. And now this time we were forced to stay in the home studio because of the pandemic. We couldn't rehearse. We There were times where we weren't even allowed to travel, so we couldn't meet. Um, so that's something we had to relearn in a way, even though for me it wasn't that much of a change because I always did these pre-productions. But I'm the only one in the band, or at that point, I was the only one in the band who did that, and everybody else had to learn to work like this. And that cost a lot of time, but also opened up new ways of looking at the songwriting process and doing things differently. And I personally enjoyed it a lot, and I think it had a huge impact on how the album turned out in the end because we had so much more time to think things through, to try out things, which you can't if you just play live and you have to decide this was good or this wasn't. You know, we just uh we were able to basically um not only come up with outlines and then test them live and see what happens with it. We could create every single detail and test it, and like painting a picture basically. You could see where it's going and steer it better than having five people together in one space figuring it out. So I think that was the main difference. I agree that it is a very mellow album, but I feel that we always had this mellow side. But at the same time, I think it has the. So I also disagree in a way because I think it's the most dynamic and has the heaviest parts that we ever had. It's just that the mellow parts are mellower than before, and the heavier parts are heavier than before. And clearly, there are more clean vocals. So I think that adds to the impression that it's very mellow. But personally, I feel that it has faster and heavier parts than we ever had before,
Yeah,
as a contrary part to that mellow side.
I agree with you there because it's it's a very well worked piece of music, and I enjoyed everything I've listened to even tonight. You know, from the new album and even from the past. You know, you've really built a good
Hmm.
thing, and you've really I'm basically lost here, but I just think you've been together for so long and you've worked really well. What you've done is amazing, and all the kind words in the world to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Um,
So,
but
do
yeah,
you think?
I'm happy. I'm glad to hear that you like it.
No, I did. Craig liked it as well. Like it was interesting. Like, and to be honest, it's not either Craig or I's go to for music, but I think it holds its own. It's really deep. It's really I won't say dark.
Hmm.
It's not dark. It's just deep.
Yeah, I agree that we always wanted to have, even though it is sometimes dark, it doesn't have to be as dark as possible and dark at all times. We always had this element that I feel feels like a glimpse of hope within the darkness that we try to create. So, and it's also on this one. And I mean, especially, I mean, this record was mainly written in the pandemic, which was not the best time. And now a lot of things after that happened that are also not great and that were, like these times in general feel more negative than before the pandemic, I would say. And this album reflects that. And this is also the reason why we chose a more pol political approach for the title and the artwork, because even though like always the Raimund's lyrics are intrinsically motivated mostly, like it's very personal and emotional, but they all have a level that can be read from a political perspective, which is more my approach and the approach of some of my bandmates to get access to these very personal lyrics, which is why we chose the title Generation of the Void, because it has so many meanings. It could be the generation as a group of people born as in these times. It can be the process of generating the void, which we also do, and so it can be seen from different angles, and that's what we liked about it. But which is also new because that we haven't done before. Before we focused really on these personal topics and didn't really allow this wide political or social way of interpreting our music.
So you think with the way that this album was written, that it's really made you better songwriters as well? Not
Well,
not that
first
you
of all, that's what we wish.
not that you were ever bad songwriters. I'm just saying that with the way that
No, 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 but I totally see it. Honestly, I totally see it that way. Because naturally, you always learn. when you write new songs, and then there's a phase where we don't do it, and then we you find back into it and you find new ways, new techniques, maybe technology sometimes. Like in this case, it was very much a shift from a very old school approach to a very modern approach. Um, and especially with this album, I think we learned a lot because we were forced to do things differently, but also because we decided to um, allow ourselves to think less within mm, certain. But before that, we restricted ourselves by saying this is how we sound, what we sound like, and what we want to sound like, and what we define our sounds with. And if we change or stray away too much from these boundaries that we set ourselves, then it sounds differently. And now did the opposite and said we do whatever we think sounds good, because as long as it comes from us, it will sound like us,
That's right.
which I think is true, because we did a lot of different things that we haven't done before, but I think it still sounds like it was written by us. So that opened new possibilities, I think, but then also that we go for more clean vocals. I think that was where we learned the most because in the past, basically improvised the vocal line and decided, well, this sounds good. That's okay. Let's do this. And that was the clean vocals for that one little part in the song. But now the focus was so much on the vocals that we had to learn to actually compose good vocal lines, which for me still feels like composing uh, an entirely new song above a new song that you just composed. Like it's just as such a like a complete new layer to it that was just not existent before, because with the growls they are very, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but they are more one-dimensional in the sense that it's mostly tone and phrasing, but you don't really have melody in it. And now we had to write the guitars in a way that they leave space for the harmonies or for the melodies, so that they create a harmony together. And that's the most things that we learned, I think, was about vocal arrangements and top lining, basically. That's something we had done before, but since we did it so much more this time, that's where we learned the most, I think. And I don't know if it made us better songwriters, but I can tell for sure that we learned a lot.
Yeah, because I believe that with all art, that the circumstances can make artists really deliver some great work. And I think with the COVID
Mhm.
pandemic, it kind of especially with musicians, it's delivered some great albums because of that circumstance. Because musicians had to write albums differently because of the circumstances.
Mhm.
And
And
improvise, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
They
agree.
had to work by a remote control almost.
so
Yeah, I
basically
mean,
you
I mean,
guys have
this is
delivered, one great album because of this circumstance that was beyond anyone's control, really. And you've delivered in great stride. So I've got to ask you, especially about your name, because it is an awesome name nailed to obscurity. How did the name come about?
that's a kind of a, I want to say boring or lame story, but it's also funny. So it's not really that boring actually, but it's not very deep. Let's put it like that. Um,
Got a
so
really
we were like, actually, Volker and I were, I think, 11 years old when we decided that we wanted to have a band at some point, and then took us a long time to get there and to find the right people. And by that time, I think we were 15. Um, and we were really into brutal death metal. like technical brutal death metal, and that's what we wanted to do initially. So at that point, we didn't have an idea what the band would sound like or what we wanted it to sound like. We just wanted to be as extreme as possible, and we really were into that one Hate Eternal album. And there's a track on it that's called Nail to Obscurity, and we thought, well, that's the perfect uh,
Oh,
band
beautiful.
name for what we had envisioned at that point. So we picked that. And then I think a year later, we that was only when we started to rehearse for the first time, and then we realized we're you have to be to play such technical music. So that forced us to play slow music, and that's also by the singer that we our first singer that we had. He introduced us to bands like I mean, we were listening to Opeth and In Flames and stuff like that, but there were like more like Tiamat and bands like that. Because he was older and he was telling about uh, telling us about all these bands, so we got into that more and more, and that way the music that we created also shifted towards that direction. But we always kept the name because we always felt even though we chose it for a stupid reason, it still always felt that it fit, and that's the story. There was not really a big concept behind it, just that we were very young and had this idea, and it always felt that it still fits.
Yeah, because it's a great name for especially a death metal band because it evokes such strong imagery, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what we thought. We just didn't have a plan. We just thought that's a cool name. Let's start with that.
So who have been your
Yeah.
influences as a guitarist and I guess as a band as a whole?
Um, I mean, there are many. Some are pretty obvious, I think. We just did uh, a piece, Paradise Lost website, socials, where we talked about them because they were obviously a huge influence for us. But
Great band.
also bands like In Flames, everything that's melodic and Swedish, basically.
Yeah, yeah, for
But
sure.
also at that time, I mean, some people think, or there was a German person that talked to me in English, trying to convince me that I'm Swedish because he couldn't believe that we were German. And I replied in German, no, no, I'm German, like you. And he was like, no, I heard you are from Sweden. So yeah, I think we always hear that we sound Swedish, and I think so. All these melodic Swedish bands, and especially In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, when we toured a lot with Dark Tranquillity, were huge influences. But then also our all-time favorite bands, like probably the one that doesn't have much to do with our music, but you can always find little elements in there. Even on this album, there's something that we call like the Sepultura Chaos AD lead guitar and stuff like that. You can find little elements there, but I think most influences that we have don't necessarily sound like what we do. It's just more the reason why we started creating music or bits and pieces that we like. For example, we love bands like Gojira, but we don't have massive breakdowns. But we try to find like things like this distinct, very distinctive heaviness that they have and transform it into our own version and create moments like that, but without ripping them off, but just do what we usually do and create similar heaviness, stuff like that. So there's all kinds of influences like that. Obviously, Catatonia is a huge influence for me personally. Older Opeth as well. Um, Greg McIntosh, I just mentioned that in that piece that I just told you about, that I think his very unique lead sound was a big inspiration for me, where um, understood that it's not only that you don't only have to be, or not even have to be fast and technical, Paradise Lost, but maybe, also Michael Amott and Chris Amott and these guitar players that are way more technical than I would ever be probably, but tone, that's what I learned from those is very important. And yeah, there are lots of influences like that. But at the same time, we always try to do our own thing, and I think at least kind of succeeded with that. That it's that we didn't want to sound like a rip-off of any band. That was always our main goal, so to speak, to do something that you can tell is us and not a copy of another band.
Awesome.
That's unreal because I thought it was I thought the guitar work in it was very good coverage, very defined as at the same time. I thought where does the bass fit?
No worries. Well, this is the
Yeah.
last question now. What's the best thing about metal?
Um, that's a very tough one because I, I at least I'm personally, but I think I'm speaking for my bandmates as well. We are not. I mean, there's so many subgenres and so many different people in this scene that it's hard to say, well, metal is this and that's the one thing and everything's the same. I think so. I was at a festival last week and I was seeing Gojira as a headliner there. And that, even though I've seen them plenty of times, that was, I think, what I think metal is about and should be about, and that's the best thing. It's just people coming together, having a good time. Um, you there's this it is this weird space where things are allowed that are not allowed anywhere else. Like in that case, when and Gojira actually pointed that out, room for aggression where peaceful people come together, basically. So they made this announcement that they love to write and play aggressive music, but that the message is peace, and that and they want that everybody comes together and that the world becomes a better place. And I think that's pretty much what we and also I personally agree with. It's a playground where you can do whatever you want and it's accepted in the first place. Like look at Cannibal Corpse. Yeah, like that's like super extreme music, extreme lyrics, but nobody judges them, but embraces it because everybody understands what it is about. It's basically a splatter movie put into music.
Enjoyment,
And
yeah.
nobody judges that. And yeah, and then I feel overall it's this attracts of open-minded people and a rather intelligent audience, which I like, and I think that's something that's unique and special, and
It's it's
uh, it's
it's
also
something
very complex, but
Yeah, 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 for
it's,
sure, for sure.
I've realised
the answer sounds so simple, but it's not. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of hard work goes into it, and you guys and everyone else and all the bands like they just work so hard, especially in Europe at the moment, and it's amazing over here to
yeah.
talking to you and to ask you a few questions about the music and yeah, just rock out and enjoy it.
So thank you very much for your
Yeah,
time,
thank you
Jan
very much.
Ollie.
We try to.
And the album, of course, is called
Likewise, thank
Generation
you
to the
too.
Void, and the band is Nailed to Obscurity, and the album's out on the 5th of September. So we wish you and the band the very
That's
best
correct. Yes.
with the album and the upcoming tour because you're starting in Greece, I believe. And we wish you all the best with that. And hopefully you
Yeah,
can
thank you very
come to
much.
Australia.
We would love to. Um, and we are trying to. We have to make it work somehow. It's super expensive to do that, but I'm sure there will be a point where we manage to come over. We would love to
Beautiful.
for sure. That's
Well, we'd love to see you,
yeah.
mate. So thank you for your time, and we wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much, and likewise.
No worries. Thank you very much,
And
Jan-Ole.
also, if we talk to In Flames, we'll mention you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Thank
have
you.
interviewed In
Yeah.
Flames one time before, many, many years ago, and they are a great band for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them live.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I've seen them live not that long ago, and I also met them before. But I mean,
Lovely guys.
it's like we've toured so much with Dark Tranquillity, so there's always this when you're in Sweden and you meet that band, and then there's always someone of one of the guys of In Flames hanging out there as well. So yeah, we met some of them already, and they seem really cool and nice, and which I also like that so far all the bands I've been a fan of. And I mean, you have a certain image of the persons in the band as well. And all the time when I met some of my most important idols, I would say, they were exactly like I thought they would be. So that was super cool.
Yeah, they
Amazing.
are. It's awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
Maybe that's also something that's special about
Really,
this music, that it's honest.
it's
Yes.
honest. Yeah,
No
definitely.
worries, mate. Well,
Well,
you have a great day, and we'll hopefully see you soon down under.
Hopefully, yes.
No worries,
I
All
mate.
right.
doubt it.
Take
Yeah,
care,
it'd be
mate.
great. And thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye
You
bye.
too.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this interview here on Flying the Metal Flag. I really hope you enjoyed it, and so does Ben. So we would greatly appreciate it if you click the like button, or even better, subscribe to this channel, because there's so many interviews that are coming soon. So please stick around for them and even more, and even the ones that are here already. So please take care and keep it excessive, but most of all, let your metal flag fly high.